Okay, so if you've ever spent the Monday after a holiday or maybe a get together over the summer and you say to yourself, ugh, I can't believe I did that this weekend, but hey, I'm going to restart this week and this is going to be a good week. You're going to want to listen to this today because I don't want you to feel that way ever again in the summer. I want you to enjoy summer get togethers and summer vacations while still taking care of your fitness. So let me tell you a quick story about a client. I had a client a couple of years ago and she used to gain every summer. She would do well throughout the full year, then the summer would come and she'd put weight on. Then she finally would get back after the summer into her routine and start losing again. And it was because she was really social. She had a lot of get togethers that she would go to on weekends. She had a lot of events with her network of friends and then her kids' friends. Like everyone would always be getting together. And so it was so hard with all of the eating out, the opportunities for drinking. And so we had to make a change to the way that she was approaching her summer and these events. And so what I want to do here today is I want to help you not get caught in the same cycle that she was stuck in. Because once she broke this cycle and she was able to create a routine where she was able to not only maintain her weight, but learn how to lose weight throughout the summer, everything changed for her with her relationship to food, her relationship to exercise, her mindset, and finally getting to a place where she could take care of her fitness year round. So here's the big idea. The all or nothing mindset that you might be taking when it comes to events on the weekend or holidays is what's doing you the damage. It's not the cookout itself or the event itself. The reason for this is here's what tends to happen. We have events on the weekend and we go to them and we maybe have more desserts than we planned on having, more drinks than we planned on having. The issue though is instead of just jumping right back into our routine the next day or the next meal or the next decision, we just say, hey, I'm going to wait until Monday. And so then any other decision that is made over that weekend, we classify as irrelevant. But guess what? All of those decisions week after week, those start to add up. And that is what results in people putting weight on because it's not just the one meal, it's all of the decisions that happen over the course of that weekend, depending on when that event cookout was. So here's what you can do to help you not get stuck in that situation. Before even worrying about the event itself, let's talk about leading up to it. If you're someone who's active in the summer, look at what you have on your calendar for that month and see, hey, what events do we have coming up? Which ones do I really want to enjoy? And which ones am I just going to, but I don't really care about? Which one is a get together where it's like, hey, I could care less if I drink at that? Or, you know what? I know all the desserts there aren't going to be good, but when Aunt Susie makes that one apple pie at that event, I definitely want to have that. Decide which ones you care about and which ones, again, that we're just going to write off as just another normal day. But either way, we're going to stick with our normal routine throughout the week, with our nutrition, with our movement. If it's a week where there's an event that you're really excited for, then in those situations, I want you to maybe say no to the dessert during the week that maybe you would have had or the random treats here and there. I'll use myself as a perfect example. When we go to the Chicago White Sox games with our cousin, they have an amazing dessert bar and it is so good. The calories are probably through the roof, but I don't care. The lemon bars are to die for. The chocolate cookies are unreal. So the weeks that we go to those games, I'm like, hey, I want to have the biggest piece of lemon bar and not worry about it. But with that being said, I know those calories are going to come with a punch. So what am I going to do? Those random handfuls of like chocolate chips or maybe the random ice cream cone during the week, I'm just going to say no to, knowing that I'm going to have this at the end of the week. I want you to take that same type of approach because what we're doing is we're basically banking those calories and saving them up for something that we actually want to have. And that's really going to help us stay in a deficit throughout the week. All right. So it's kind of a way to prep throughout the week. Use the week as a motivator for those events coming up on the weekend. Now, one thing I don't want you to get in the mindset, because I want us to have a healthy relationship with food. I don't want you to then be like, hey, since I was so good during this week, I can go balls to the wall this weekend and just indulge on everything because it's not creating a healthy relationship with food. All we did was we made sure that we were 80%, maybe even 90% consistent throughout the week so that on the weekends, when we do choose to enjoy these things, the percentages over the week are going to work in our favor. So event day, let's say it's a party on Saturday that you're going to. In my case, the Chicago White Sox game that I would be going to. What you're going to do is you're going to map your day around this event. Knowing that the calories are going to be higher at that cookout or at that party, you're going to make some adjustments to the day. You're maybe going to have a lighter breakfast and a lighter lunch if it's later in the day. If it's a lunchtime, you'll just start with a lighter breakfast, and you're going to focus on protein and fiber at those meals. We're going to try to limit the fats. We're going to try to limit the carbs, not because they're bad, but just because we're going to be getting plenty of them at the party, depending on what it is that you're going to. Then before we go to the event, I highly recommend that you have something with protein in it. I always have a protein shake before we go to an event, because if you go somewhere starving, you're going to walk up to that table with appetizers and you're going to be starving and you're going to have way more than you needed to have. So we never want to go to an event hungry. You're going to enjoy the event. And then after that event, you're going to get back to your normal routine the next day. You're going to have a good breakfast the next morning. You're going to get your body moving and you're going to be fine, because we just had that one moment. That's going to be super, super helpful for you. Another thing that can help you. So that's how we shape our day surrounding it. And here's a way too. So this might actually help you. This is a tangent here, but I think a really, really useful tangent. When you're getting ready for the day, so let's say it's a lunch get together. You have your normal breakfast in the morning, you have lunch. If it was a huge lunch, you have a tiny dinner. If it ended up not being that big of a deal what you had for lunch, cool, you have your normal dinner. But so you use that meal to determine how you're going to eat later in the day. If the meal's at the end of the day, we assume it's going to be higher in calories, have lower calorie things during the day. But remember, I'm not telling you not to eat. I'm just telling you that we want to make sure that we are going higher protein in the things that we're having, so that way we can stay relatively full, but also save calories, so we're not going to put ourselves into a huge calorie surplus. All right, now let's talk about the event itself. Really helpful to go into the event with a game plan. If you go into an event and you have no strategy for how you're going to approach drinking, let's say you're like, hey, you know what? I'll just have a couple drinks. I'll figure it out. You're going to have a good time. You're going to be with your friends. You're going to be laughing. Drinks going to be pouring. You might drink more than you planned. Versus somebody who goes in and says, I'm going to allow myself 2 drinks max, whatever the number is. I always tell my clients, if you want to enjoy a drink or two, research shows 2 drinks isn't going to result in weight gain. But when you go beyond that, the calories start to add up, as well as the decisions we make tend to be less ideal once we get a little bit more intoxicated. So that's why, there's that 2 drink number tends to be a golden number there. Unless you're drinking 14 percenters, then props to you, because I would be on the ground if I did that. But so you go into the plan with your drinks. And then when it comes to the eating, just be smart about it. Have 1 plate for appetizers. For your plate for dinner, enjoy the things that you want to have at that meal. Focus on the protein and the veggies, but then enjoy the other sides in moderation. Same thing with the desserts. If you want to try a bunch, you don't have to have the full of every dessert. Have a little bit of each. Pick and choose. But it's all about just having that plan in place and letting the event itself be the event itself. Because if we go back to the woman I was telling you about at the start of this episode, what would happen is she treated every day normal, and then she would go and overconsume food and drinks at those events. Then she would feel like crap. So the next day, she didn't feel like doing anything. She didn't feel like doing her normal workouts. She just kind of kept eating whatever during the day because she was like overly stuffed, so she wouldn't really eat, got herself into a bad loop. But when we got to a place where she actually went to the events with a plan to make sure that she wasn't over-consuming, when she made sure that she didn't let the whole weekend go off the rails because of one event and she planned the rest of her weekend around it, when she also chose which events she cared about and which events she was like, you know what, I'm just going to eat the normal healthy food here. It's not a big deal. I don't need to drink at this one because it's not necessary. Those 3 things made a huge difference for her. So what I would like for you when you're thinking about an upcoming event is, I want you to pick 2 guardrails for yourself when you're going to the next event. Maybe it's going to be a certain number of drinks. Maybe it's going to be a certain number of desserts. Maybe it's going to be what you eat during the day or the week leading up to that event. Pick something that can help you be in a better mindset going into that event, because what does a saying go? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. There has to be a mental thought to it, and it's going to require some mental, we'll call it, I don't know the word I'm looking for right now. It's going to require you to do some planning initially, but eventually you're going to get used to it, having done it over and over and over again. But so to recap, after you pick those strategies, summer is about enjoying it. I want you to enjoy the things you care about enjoying, and the stuff that's just kind of there in fluff, I want you to learn to tell yourself, like, hey, what matters more to me right now? And also setting those boundaries for yourself, show that you can set boundaries too. And that's going to lay off on your kids too. They're going to see you as a role model, being like, oh, like mom and dad don't always eat dessert. Or, I can see them, controlling themselves in the situation. You might not think they notice it, but they do, right? It totally can be noticed. Okay. I think that I've given a lot of information here. So I thought that this would hopefully help you. Let me know if you thought it did. Also, too, I made a one-page cheat sheet that we use with our members for, navigating cookouts that kind of go over all of this. So if you'd like me to send that to you, just DM me the word cookout on Instagram, and I can go ahead and I can send that your way. All right. I hope that you have an amazing summer. Enjoy your events. And if you're going to a White Sox game, absolutely try the lemon bar.